Okay, everybody. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much for taking time out of your Saturday to come have this conversation about Maher today. It's going to be really good. I am so excited to have this conversation. So, I'm sure you guys have all seen the TikTok, the one that, the 50K Maher and the G Wagon. If you have not, we did put the QR code there so you can check it out. But basically, I'm pretty sure the sister who made that comment was joking. I would assume she was. But it really sparked a huge debate online last year about Maher amounts and like how much is reasonable. And a lot of it, like there was so many memes and reels that followed as a result of that TikTok. And I've even seen that TikTok thrown around in conversations I've had with other Muslim girlies in the community and in real life. And it just really sparked a conversation about Maher. A lot of conversations about women in the comments saying, "Oh, if you're broke, just say that," which I think sometimes might be unfair to a certain degree. But there's a lot of like lack of understanding about Maher, right? The jokes and the memes are really funny, of course, but underneath all of that is we actually don't really know what to ask for or how to navigate these conversations about motherhood with a potential spouse or with each other. 'Cause I understand we all fear the evil eye and we all are super tight lipped when it comes to finances, but sometimes that can be really harmful for us as a community because if no one has these conversations and like, we don't know what to ask for, right? What is normal, right? What actually normal for Maher? Is it weird if I ask for more? Am I asking for too much? What are other Muslim women really getting? And sometimes you ask your friends and your cousins and they might share and sometimes they won't. So it's really important that we have these conversations, inshallah. And these are questions that I've gotten from you guys in real life. There are questions I've gotten in my DMs. We wanted to do something about it. Okay. So I got really curious and I'm someone who's also in the process of searching for a spouse. So I was like, I need to know this information for myself as well. So I did what I always do. So I asked real Muslim women these questions so we can have these conversations about Maher, inshallah. So I asked women anonymously, I surveyed them, and we are going to go ahead and share the results with you today. So I want to make sure that this is a safe space today for real conversation about Maher, whatever comfortable looks like for you. Okay. So if you want to be camera on, camera off, it's up to you. Obviously, if you're off camera, no hijab needed. I want you to share your experiences. I want you to ask questions, or if you just want to listen in, that's okay as well. I want you to use the chat, respond to polls, whatever feels right for you. We are here to make this a safe space for you, and you can show up however you want, inshallah. So, for those who don't know me or are new to my world, salam to everybody. I'm Malak. I'm a financial educator for Muslim women. I'm a public speaker. I'm a founder of the signature investing program, Confident Investor, and I'm host of today's conversation. So, how we collected the Maher tea today. So, I surveyed some women and asked them a few questions. This was all done anonymously. And we asked them the Maher amount that they were given, when and how it was paid, what they were given. So, were they given cash or gold or something else that was non monetary, their location in the world, and their husband's income at the time. And we did have a data analyst put together the results for us and analyze the data. We did have 77 respondents. We organized the timing of the payment into clear categories. We grouped the symbolic and non-monetary gifts separately. We standardized the dollar amounts, and obviously the privacy and anonymity were top priority. So there's no names or identifying details. We wanted to make sure that everybody felt safe sharing their data. I also just want to shout out our data analyst. She couldn't be here today, unfortunately, but her name is Hiba, and she is actually one of my clients. She is a data analyst by day, but she also has a habits coaching business where she teaches women how to set healthy habits in their lives. So I would highly encourage that you guys take the time to follow her. She did an amazing job putting the results of this survey for us together. Like, it's definitely something that I could not have done because I don't understand data like that. So she's amazing. She is also running a free 3-day habit challenge. If you guys want to check that out, that is happening later this month. So go ahead and follow her, show her some love, because without her, we wouldn't be having this conversation today. So go ahead and follow Hiba, inshallah. And then there are some limitations, right? I want to be really clear. This isn't like a super scientific, like social science study, right? This is just meant to be a conversation starter. So take it as a real snapshot of real experiences, not as like the hardcore truth, and definitely not as this is what you should ask for guide yet, but you can use it to inform the conversations you have about Maher, inshallah. Obviously, there are survey limitations. There's differences in currency. We did have a small sample size, so this is not a comprehensive or statistically representative survey of all Muslim women. The data is self-reported. Sometimes there's discrepancies between symbolic and monetary gifts, and the timing details were not always clear. Some respondents were vague about when Mahr was paid. So again, not a super scientific study, but it was just meant to capture experiences and meant to be the beginning of something. This survey is something that we are planning on hopefully honing and making it more detailed and making it more scientific, inshallah. But for the time being, this was just something to get the conversation started. Okay. I want you guys to meet my team. I would not be here without them. Drea, if you guys have not met her, she unfortunately couldn't be here today, but some of you may have met her before on some of my webinars. She is my online business manager, so she helps facilitate all things analytics in my business, backend, admin. Like, she allows me to free up my time so that I can focus on serving you all. And then I want to shout out Rachel, who is on this call today. Rachel, do you want to say hi?
Hello. Hi. I'm super excited to be here.
Yay, we're really excited to have you, Rachel. So Rachel is my creative director. She is the one who put together these slides. She does all my marketing for me. I also want to shout her out real quick. I didn't tell her I was going to do this, but she came up with this idea 3 weeks ago. So I basically hit her up and I was like, hey, can you make the survey results? Can you make it like a carousel post that I can post on Instagram? And then she calls me and she's, girl, this needs to be a much bigger conversation than just an Instagram post. This needs to be a whole event. This needs to be a discussion with your community. And within 3 weeks, she put together the registration page. She created the slides, all the promotional emails that you're getting, all the reminder emails that you got, all of the replay email that you're getting. All of that was Rachel. So please give her some love in the chat because Homegirl did the Lord's work. Like, I really don't know how we pulled this off in 3 weeks, but we are here because of her, and this was her idea. So please, thank you so much, Rachel. I'm so excited that we're having this and we're doing this. Please show her some love in the chat. Like, these slides are gorgeous, and I can't believe she did everything in 3 weeks. Like, she hauled ass, you guys. Yes, thank you, Rachel. Oh my gosh, yay. We love to see it. Love women supporting women, yes. Okay. Yeah, shout out to Rachel. And then unfortunately, like I said, Drea couldn't be here, but hopefully you guys will meet her at another one of these sessions in the future, inshallah. Okay. All right. So take your tea because the tea is about to be served. Take your seats. So I just want to say, feel free to turn off your camera, like we said, if it's not turned off already. I also we're going to have a live discussion portion at the end after I share the results. And I want everyone to feel comfortable speaking, whether it's through the chat or unmuting themselves. So if you want to protect your anonymity, obviously knowing this is recorded, if you want to change your name in Zoom so no one knows who you are, and say your name is Mr. Darcy or something, I don't know why I chose that. I just watched a lot of Pride and Prejudice reels recently. If you want to use one of those 60-minute voice altering microphones so your voice is changed when you talk so no one knows who you are, whatever you need to do to get comfortable and feel safe sharing openly and honestly, like, we would love to have your input. Okay. So you got to change your name. If you're going to take on a different identity, like, that's fine with me. Do what you need to do, inshallah. Okay. So now I'd love to know where you guys are joining from. Drop your country or your region if you're in the US, like, which state are you from? If you're from Canada, like, which province are you from? Or in other parts of the world, which country you're from. So let me know. I'm so curious who we have on today. Let's see. Newport Beach. Okay. My neck of the woods. Some Southern California. So real for the Pride and Prejudice girl. Yes. Dallas, Texas. Virginia. Okay. Love it. Oh, we have got some UK, Australia, some Saudi Arabia. Love it. Oh, Kashmir. Oh my gosh, girl. What time is it over there? It's probably super early in the morning, I think. We've got some Canada, Toronto, Alberta, Dubai. Oh my gosh. Malak, I met you years ago in London when you were sitting there. That's so crazy. What a small world. If I see your face, I'll probably remember you. I'm better with faces than with names, inshallah. In Northeast USA, Bay Area. Okay. We've got so many variations, people from all over the world. This is really cool. We've got Ontario, Okay, amazing. This is where we're all from today, but I also wanted to share where all the respondents were from in the survey. So you can see that the majority of the respondents were from the US. We had 8% in Canada, 2% from the UK, India was 3%, Australia was 3%, Albania was 2%, and we had miscellaneous 7%. So obviously, like this survey is heavily skewed towards the US. This is why we said it's not scientific and it's not representative of the Muslim community overall, but it is something to keep in mind as we go through these results, inshallah. All right. So, what I'd love to know before I share the tea is why are you here? Are you exploring Maher as you prepare for marriage yourself? Are you talking to potentials and you want to know what the situation is? Are you married and you're curious about what other women are getting? Have you been divorced and you're here to share your experiences? Are you just here for the tea just because you're curious? Something else? I just really love to know what inspired you and motivated you to want to join our conversation today. So let me know in the chat. Like I said, I am in the process of talking to potentials, so I want to know what all the other girlies are getting because I might need to have this conversation at some point in the future soon, inshallah. So I'd love to hear why others are here. Okay, we've got a few preparing for marriage, trying to determine what the right amount is and how to determine that. Thinking about plans for the future, curious about hearing about the topic since I don't know who to ask in real life. Honestly, that's so real, girls, because same. Prep, also nosy. Honestly, that's so real. Got engaged last week. Yeah, alhamdulillah, Feroz. Congratulations. So excited for you. Prepping for marriage. Haven't discussed Maher yet. Ooh, this is very relevant for you, girl. This is gonna be so good. Loki, you should have him watch this recording. Anyways, curious, want to know what's reasonable. Single, ready to mingle, yes. Want to be prepared for having this combo. Curious, and I love numbers. Looking at prospects for marriage prep, talking to potentials. ISA launching an Islamic contract drafting business. Oh my God. Amazing. Inshallah, may Allah make that so successful for you. That's so amazing. Let me know when you do. I can promote your business, inshallah, on my page. I find Maher is such an embarrassing and awkward question. And that actually puts me off. Girl, I feel you. I feel you. Honestly, the nosy one, I feel curious about other women are getting, what's considered good Maher. All the above, as the girlies, the guy I'm talking to asks what I wanted for Maher, and I froze. Oh, this is so good. This is going to be so relevant for you, girl. Okay. Curious for the future and to share with male relatives because they are also clueless. Yes, my male relatives are also clueless as well. So oh my gosh, you guys literally just affirmed for me in the chat why we need to have this conversation. We're not crazy. No one's talking about this and we need to be talking about this. So thank you all for sharing why you're here. I think this conversation going to be relevant for so many of you, inshallah. Sarah, do you have a question? Sarah, how do you pronounce it?
It's Sada for people that speak Arabic and I guess Spanish, other languages, but it's Sarah for English. I don't really care either.
Yes.
I miss you, alhamdulillah. But I just wanted to say something based on everybody's comments so far. And I really appreciate you doing this because women, we are givers. We love to share whatever we have with other people. And I'm noticing that when it comes to the topic of Maher, I love that our religion mandates that a man has to give a woman that, but then we're not given guidance as to what to ask for. And I think it's a good thing that we're not given exactly like the amount that we're supposed to ask for because it depends on culture, depends on region, depends on whatever world you're in. But at the same time, we don't want to be pressured into being so empathetic that we're like, it's fine, just give me whatever you can. Be like Steve perceived as like greedy if we say that I need $200,000 or whatever it is. Right? So I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, you're so welcome. Thank you for sharing that. And because I feel like that's so relevant, there is no guidance around this. We are made to feel greedy if we want more, but I think you guys are going to be surprised by the results today, especially by one number. I think once you guys hear this number, you're going to be like, oh, it's going to be so good. So thank you for sharing, Sada. All right, ladies, here we go. All right. Okay, so now we have a poll. All right, so I'm going to ask you guys, what do you think most women got as Maher? Okay, so your options are, I'm going to pull up the poll in Zoom right now. So there's cash, non-monetary, half in gold, or no Maher at all. So I'm going to pull up the first poll. Go ahead and take the time to answer it. All right, let's see what people say. Oh, cash and gold seems to be winning. Very interesting. Nothing at all. I'm glad you guys said nothing at all. That's good. You might be surprised though. Amazing. All right. So let's end this poll. Most of you guys think the majority, 60% think cash and gold. All right. Let's see. Okay. You guys can see the results, right? I think so. I haven't done a poll on Zoom in 100 years, so I don't remember. Yes. Okay. Amazing. All right. So let's stop sharing so I can show you the actual results. Okay. So the actual results are 76% were actually just cash, and cash and gold was only 4%. I know. That's really surprising, isn't it? Most people just wanted cold hard cash, which is great. We love that. 11% wanted gold, like just gold, not even cash. Non-monetary was around 4%. And unfortunately, there was 3% where there was no mahr. So either none was given or none was agreed upon. All right. Well, I want to hear you guys' reactions in the chat. Yeah, whoa, right? All the women in my family got cash and gold. I know. What can be some non-monetary examples? So non-monetary examples that I've seen include things like a trip to Hajj or something, or Umrah, or like sharing beneficial knowledge, like Quran or something. Those are the typical examples that I've seen, but it really just varies. There's a huge range of what that could mean. Yes. Considering most of the people surveyed are from the US and the USD is a strong and stable currency, it makes sense. Yeah, totally. Thank you for pointing that out. Alrighty. Let's move on. No, Maher makes me wonder if the ladies knew about the why Maher was alright for us. Honestly, great question. Very good question. Okay. As for what you guys should do with your Maher, I wanted to share this resource with you guys. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with Nikah Masterclass, but they are basically a organization that puts together educational content around getting married, like Nikah, what your rights are, legal marriage, prenups, all these things that you need to know. And they have created something really cool. It's called the Deferred Mahr Calculator. So basically, it's should your Mahr be in cash, should it be in gold, or should it invest it in the stock market? And what you can do is you can put the amount, you can put the currency, obviously, and you can put when year of marriage is, and you can see over time what would have happened. What I wanted to point out is, let's say you had received like $1,000 in Mahr and you had gotten married in 2019. 1,000 is like really low. Let's say 5,000. Okay. If you had gotten, because sometimes I ask women, like, what do you do with your Mahr? And a lot of them are like, oh, I just leave it in my bank or I just keep it as gold. So if you had just kept your money in the bank, you'd still have $5,000, but it would be worth a lot less because like inflation. If you had gotten it as gold or converted it to gold, you'd have around $11,000. But you guys can see if you had invested it in the stock market, you would actually have the most money. This is why I say you guys need to invest in the stock market, because the stock market will always yield the highest return when it comes to investing. I know people think gold is a really solid investment, which it is. It's good for preserving your money, but it's super volatile, and the stock market will almost always make you more money than gold. Okay. So just wanted to put this out there as a resource. Nikah Masterclass and I are in talks for a collaboration, inshallah, at some point. So hopefully we can create a resource that will be really helpful for you all. But I would highly recommend you check out their services. They do have a prenup template as well if you guys are interested in getting a prenup. And I'm going to drop the link for this in the chat so that you guys can see this resource, inshallah. Okay. Alrighty. So now we have another poll for you all. Okay. So poll 2 is, when do you think most women got their Mahr? So was it before their wedding, on their wedding, later, or was it split payment? So they did the whole like deferred Mahr situation. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up the poll. Okay. So go ahead and answer when you think people got their Mahr, inshallah. Okay, we're seeing a lot of on the wedding day so far. Okay, amazing. So most of you guys think on the wedding day, it seems. Yes, I'm going to go ahead and end the poll so you guys can see the results. Okay, majority said on the wedding day. Close second was later, like after the wedding. And then some people think before nikah, and others are thinking split payment divorce. Okay, amazing. So let's go ahead and actually reveal the results. Okay, so the results are, most respondents actually by far received their Mahr after the nikah. So not even on the day of, it was actually after. A bigger chunk than you would think received it before the nikah, which is crazy. And then there was 15% who received it the day of nikah and 12% received it deferred, right? But something else that was wild is 15% not being paid their mahr at all, which is really sad. So not paid in this situation means that it was agreed upon, but it has not been paid yet. This is mahr that they are promised, okay, that they have come to an agreement with. And unfortunately, this is something I keep hearing in my DMs a lot on Instagram. A lot of women are like, yeah, I was never paid my mahr. I also have a lot of divorced women who tell me they were never paid their deferred mahr. So this is a problem. I just wanted us to be like aware of it, but yeah, let me see what your guys' thoughts. Okay. Yep, that is sad. I have a friend who her mahr was never paid. Not paid is crazy. I know. Is it true that the woman has to return the mahr in case of khula? That is a question for Nikah Masterclass. They do go over the types of divorces and whether mahr needs to be paid back. But I did take their Nikah Masterclass webinar, and I believe that it's true. If you are the one who initiates divorce, which is called khula, then you do have to return the mahr. So that is a different conversation for a different time. But we can go over that. Yes, manipulation from husband and in-laws is really common, unfortunately. So anyways, I just wanted you guys to be like aware. Faiza just joined. Did I miss the results for the mahr amount? Not yet. We are getting to that, inshallah. Okay. Alrighty. We're actually just getting to that. Okay. Please, the 50K and G-Wagon question. How much did Muslim women actually receive as mahr? We're going to do a poll, of course. I want you guys to see. So your options are, you're going to see them on the poll, inshallah. Let's go back. Okay. Poll question 3. Okay. So your options are under $1,000, $1,000 to $5,000, $10,000 to $25,000, or $25,000 to $50,000, or over $50,000. What do you guys think? I'm so curious to see what you guys think about this. I'll give it 10 more seconds if you guys want to drop your answer. Okay. Looks like I'm going to go ahead and end the poll now. Let's share the result. Okay. So the majority of you think, 54% think the mahr amount was between $5,000 to $10,000. A close second is $10,000 to $25,000. And then the third is $1,000 to $1,000. Okay. No one thinks that people got more than $50,000. Very interesting. Okay. Alrighty. You guys ready? You guys are ready? This is why you're all here, I think. All right, let's move on. Okay. Out of the 67 women who shared their amounts, here's what we found. Okay. By far, the majority received anywhere between $10,000 to $25,000. Okay. Not the majority, a good chunk, because it's almost it's 37%. The next highest category was 1 to 5K. Actually, not the 5 to 10K like you all thought. That was the third most common one. And then it was close tie between 25K to 50K and 50K plus. There were some people who gave above 50K. So it's not crazy like we think it is. And we did have the 0 to 1K. I forgot about that one. But I'm just so curious to hear about your guys' thoughts. Yes, this amount is in USD. No one picked G-Wagons. Yes, let me see. It is, mahr does tend to be higher in the US, just FYI, from my understanding. Very interesting. My friend got 50K, but she's wealthy and so is her husband. Yeah. We're all realistic, girlies. Reinstating the results of the poll. Yes, I can put that up for you guys, just so you guys can see like what you answered versus what the actual results were. This is very interesting. Okay. I'm going to give you 10 more seconds here, and then we do have to move on because there's a lot to discuss. Okay. I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to move on to the next slide because there's a lot of things to discuss. Okay. Among the survey responses, 10K was the default amount. So this was the amounts that we kept seeing over and over again. It popped up as the most common single amount, almost like an automatic number in many stories. But the real tea is like when you zoom out, the norm is actually higher. So over a third of women received between $10,000 to $25,000. So just so you can see that, over 1 in 3 women got 10 to 25K. So Just want to say you're probably not like greedy if you're asking for a little bit more than what you think you might need to ask for. Okay. Just FYI, because this is a pretty significant number. Obviously, like small sample size, and this is not representative of all Muslims, but this is a pretty large percentage. Also, so let's talk about this because some of you mentioned higher income or like people being wealthy. So, do you think a higher income should mean a higher mahr? So, let's do another poll, inshallah. Okay. Do you think a higher income should mean a higher mahr? Absolutely. Mostly yes. It depends. Not really. I have no idea. Okay. We're seeing some mostly yes. It should reflect his ability to provide. Okay. 10 more seconds here, guys. Okay. Okay. I'm going to end this poll and share the results. Okay. So 48% of you think that mostly yes, it should reflect his ability to provide. 35% of you said absolutely, sis deserves the full benefits package. Love to see it. 15% said it depends. Every couple and situation is different. And 1% thought not really. So there's more demerits than money. Okay. And all of you seem to have an opinion. So no one was, I have no idea. Okay. So let's go ahead and look at the data. Okay. Oh, oops. I forgot about this slide. My bad. I'll remember it for next time. But shout out to Rachel for putting all these GIFs and creating the slide. It looks amazing. Okay. When we look at this bar chart, it does look like more income equals more mahr, right? When we plot the data in a bar chart, it seems, yeah, it makes sense, right? So here we have husband's income at the bottom. Here we have mahr amount, and you can see that in general, it seems to follow that trend, right? The more wealthy a person is, the more income, the higher the mahr is. However, there's a lot of different ways to view data, right? If you were to plot this on a line chart, line plot, I forgot what the name of this. You guys know what I'm talking about. You'll notice that the upward line is actually pretty chaotic. It's not as consistent as you would think it is. It's a little bit more scattered than you think it would be, right? So we do see a trend of the highest mahars do tend to happen at higher incomes, but the spread is huge. There are big mahars and small mahars at every income. And I'm going to show you some examples here to point them out. So here are some examples to demonstrate just how broad the results really are. So we have this one example, right? We had someone whose income was $130,000 and the woman's mahr was $1,500. So her income, the percentage of his income of mahr was 1.15%. I think this is diabolical. I feel sorry for that sister. I don't know what was happening there. I don't know if it was like what the conversations looked like there, if she didn't know if she should ask for more, if the families got involved. And I don't know what happened here, but it's just sad to me. That is insane. Diabolical indeed. That's just stingy. Yep. Yes. Okay. Bara has a story. I had a guy who was getting to know her and he made 100K and he made it sound that if I asked for something like 50K, then he'd have to take 10 years to pay it. Needless to say, I saw stinginess in so many other ways. Yeah, girl, that is screaming stinginess. There's a reason why it's the first example. LOL. Yep. Very stingy. Yes. So this is pretty sad, but we have examples of the complete opposite. So we have someone who almost gave his full annual income at the time. I'm assuming he received help from his parents because there's no way, like maybe he was a student or something or was working part-time, but like his income was $30,000 and he agreed to $25,000. It may have been, maybe they did agree on a split payment. The respondent didn't provide that information, but still, like you had someone who wasn't making a lot of income at the time be willing to give this much mahr. Yeah, maybe he had savings. That's another crazy extreme. Yeah, I agree. Another unhealthy extreme. I agree. I think this is crazy, right? But you also find somewhere in between as well. This is somebody whose income is $60,000. The woman's mahr was $12,000. So 20% of his income went to the mahr. So this is a little bit more reasonable than the other two extremes we just saw, but you're really like, it's so varied, right? So we wanted to show you this data because we wanted to show that higher income does not always necessarily correlate to higher mahr, and lower income does not always necessarily correlate to lower Maher. That can be a trend that we observe, but we also find like everywhere in between. Okay. Okay. This is the really interesting one. So if you guys want to put this in the chat, what percent of the husband's annual income on average do you think was given as Maher? So we saw crazy amounts. We saw 1.15%, which is crazy. We saw 83%, which is also crazy. And we saw 20%, which seems a little bit more reasonable. But what do you think the average percentage was of a husband's income? Put your guesses in the chat. Okay, so we're seeing 15, 15, 30, 30, 20, 20. I would say 20. Okay. A lot of 20s. I'm seeing 20s and 10s. I'm seeing a few 30s. Okay. All right, you guys. 10%. Okay. So, drum roll, please. Also, Pitch Perfect love reference if you guys love that movie the way I do. Okay. So, on average, what Maher was 30% of a husband's annual income after we remove the biggest outliers. Okay. So, this is really good data for you to keep in mind. Okay. You don't need to use this as like a benchmark for when talking to people, but it's just something to keep in mind as you're having these conversations because Maher seems to be higher than we think, which is good. It's a good thing. And people aren't talking about this. Yep. No way. I was always made to feel bad, even as far as for 20%. Yep. That is called manipulation, as Zareen said. Yep. Absolutely. That's exactly what that is. So I don't want you ladies to feel bad for asking for more. I don't want you to feel greedy because there are now some stats, not fully scientific, but we do have now some experiences from women, real women, about how on average 30% of a husband's annual income is Maher. Okay. This is before tax. So we're looking at gross income here. Funny story, my sister married a wealthy husband and my parents made her ask for more. Great. As they should, honestly, because this is really important. Okay. Some of y'all should take a picture of this. Some of you should screenshot this. If you want to tag me on social media and like point this out, I wouldn't mind. This is really cool to see. Okay. One step ahead of you. I've been taking literal notes. I've not been to much weddings, but does the Mahr amount be announced to the whole nosy crowd of guests during nikah? This puts me off even more. So what I've seen at nikahs is like typically like they're getting married. What the sheikh will say is like to the agreed upon Mahr. They won't usually say the amount, which I think is good to protect the couple's privacy. So yeah. Okay. Alrighty. Let's move on and show off. Okay. So let's chat. Let's have a conversation. Did anything surprise you? Does your experience or the stories you've heard align with these results? I want to hear the conversation, inshallah. This is part of the conversation series, the conversation part of this session today. So if everybody wants to share their experiences, higher than I thought for sure. Yep. That was my reaction too. When Rachel showed me 30%, I was like, girl, there's no way. You're lying to me. And she was like, that's what the data says. Very surprised. One of my friends got barely $500, later divorced, husband was abusive. Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry about your friend. I hope she's in a better place now. Inshallah. Also thought it was required to be paid by wedding day, higher than I thought. I had zero idea before, so I have somewhat of an idea now, and that's really nice. Can we get a copy of the slide deck along with the recording? So we're not going to share the slide deck per se, but we are going to share the results of the survey in like a guide format, like a PDF. Rachel put it together for you guys. It's like a 10-page guide, and that it shows all of these results, inshallah, for you. Shows there's decent men out there. I know, right? Isn't that so heartwarming? And yes, do not settle, ladies. Do not settle. Okay, this is like a tangent, but I will say that the people in my life who have gotten married recently, like none of them have settled. Some of them did have to wait a little bit longer to get married, but when they did get married, they didn't settle. They didn't settle with Maher. They didn't settle with what they were looking for. So for anybody who tells you that you need to settle because you're like getting older or whatever, please don't listen to them because God has your back. Okay. My friends who have gotten married, alhamdulillah, like I asked them and they were like, yeah, like we didn't have to compromise on like the most important things, right? That they were looking for. So do not settle, ladies. It's really important. This is so eye-opening. Yeah, no idea what to expect. Pretty high. Any thoughts on just keeping it simple and asking for a trip to Hajj? But you know what's interesting is it depends on where you are and which part of the world you're in, but Hajj, at least from the US, is like a lot of money. It's $25,000 to go. So like Hajj is actually can be like more expensive sometimes than if you were to ask for cash, depending on how much you ask for cash. Yes, so we have a reference you cited. Yes. Advice do you have to stop in-laws interfering with the Maher? That is something that I think we tackle in the Maher conversation guide that we will be giving you guys, inshallah. So hopefully that can answer your question. Even Hajj trip is now like 20 to 30K. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's a lot, right? It's similar to the idea of spending 3 months salary for a ring. Yep. Okay. Amazing. It's hard to have a conversation around Maher when you can be framed as greedy. And hopefully the guide we'll be giving you guys will help with that, inshallah. Might be off topic, but what is the Islamic point of Maher? My understanding, Maher is just supposed to be like, from what Joe Bradford says, and he is an Islamic scholar who's versed in Islamic finance, what he says is that it's supposed to be, it is a gift from the husband to the wife, and it's supposed to help ease her transition, not in a financial sense, but more so in just like the fact that he's taking her, quote unquote, from her family's house and she's starting a new life with him, and that transition can be distressful. So the Maher is a way to like help ease that transition from what he said. But I could be paraphrasing, but they do cover this in the Nikah Masterclass. So again, I want to reference them as a good resource for you guys when it comes to Nikah, like legal marriage, all these things they're really good at. And divorce, they're really good at tackling all of these things, inshallah. Recently watched a video that someone asked for regular allowance each year, which increases by some percent as Maher. Can that be qualified as Maher? I think you can make that as Maher if you'd like. However, I think from my understanding, Maher is usually like a set agreed amount. And whether that person pays for it all at once or splits it up over time, that's typically like what is customarily, like traditionally done for Maher, rather than this is regular allowance every year, which increases. That could be something that you write in your nikah versus tying it to Maher, if that makes sense. I'd love to know the average amount spent on the wedding. I have a bro who says that women expect 50K to spend, and I don't know where he's getting that figure. Could you go back to the slide that shows when women receive their Maher? Yes, we can do that, inshallah. Let me just go back. This is the slide about when women receive their Maher. Okay. Yeah, so for the weddings, I have heard of 50K. Like, I've heard 30K being a budget wedding, and 50K is on the higher end. I've heard people putting their weddings on credit cards, which is really alarming because they cannot pay it in full. So they start their marriage off in debt and paying interest, which is, again, really upsetting. What if you make more money than potential? I feel like it makes you greedy, but if you make more money, your standards are higher. So this is an interesting one. Anecdotally, this is something we can actually ask about in our next iteration of this survey. We can ask about the woman's income as well, if she had one. But I will say anecdotally, what I've heard about this is that a lot of women, if they make more money than the guy, they're a little bit more lax on the Maher amount just because they're trying to like make their marriage easy, if that makes sense. And they don't want to put a lot of hardship on the guy. But this is just anecdotally. I don't have data or stats to back that up. So we can ask about that in the next iteration of the survey. We've been too humble. I know, girl, in what amount to ask. Yep. Okay, let's see. Someone said, Fatima said, Hajj is an obligation upon all believing and financially able Muslims, so I'm not sure it would qualify as a proper Maher. That's really interesting. I haven't thought about that, but that is a really great question. I used to think Maher was financial security or your ticket out should things not work out. It's often framed that way, and I don't really know why it's framed that way. I understand that some cultures, like in Arab culture, it's really common to have the deferred Maher, or we call it the mu'affad, right? Sort of be like your ticket out or to be given to the woman upon divorce or death of the husband. But I think that's a really bad reframing of it. Like, I don't think Maher should be framed like that because I think the situations where women don't receive their Maher, it's because of stuff like that. Oh yeah, you'll get your Maher like later if we get divorced. But then what if you stay in the marriage, but you're like unhappy, but you never get divorced, so you never get your money? Like, I just don't think it's okay. Yeah, you can ask for more money and use it towards Hajj if you like. There's a lot of wisdom behind obligation for Maher, and one is that it helps out weed out the stingy men from your life in the talking stage. I think that's really true, actually. I think would it be interesting to see how spend on wedding events fit into this? I think some cultures ahead is towards spending wedding expenses. Yes, this is a really interesting one. We can ask about weddings, inshallah, moving forward. Yes. As for the question about whether a husband is responsible for his wife's Hajj, my understanding is that he's not financially responsible for her Hajj. If he does, it would be like obviously really good for him and he'd get a lot of reward for it. But each able bodied person is supposed to pay for their own Hajj, from my understanding. That makes sense. If you make a high income yourself, an extra monetary gift may be less important to you. And yes, that is Rifa. That's what I've heard anecdotally from a lot of women. Like the women who like make a lot of money, they're just like, I don't care. So, okay. Curious what the numbers look like in a second marriage or marriage wherein there are kids from a previous marriage or people in their 30s. Yes, we can definitely ask for more of those details moving forward, inshallah. So that is the plan that hopefully, like, actually this conversation can help us create a better survey that we always are updating and asking people to fill out. So this was just meant to be like the kickoff. But yeah, hopefully we're going to create a better one, inshallah. Get data by age too, because college students are different. Yep. That's very, very good. Yes. If you guys have suggestions on what other data we should collect, please drop it in the chat. We will be taking notes on the transcript today, so we can have these action items for us to do moving forward, inshallah. Okay. I think there were a couple of things I just wanted to discuss. I have another poll for you. So if you're unmarried and you had to have this conversation tomorrow about Maher with a potential spouse, or you're engaged and you need to have this conversation with your fiance, how comfortable would you feel? Okay. Number 1 is confident AF. I'm not shy to talk about it at all. Option 2 is I'm good. I'm going to give you guys a poll, so you don't need to put this in the chat, but I'm not scared, but I'm not loving it. Nervous, dreading it, and big nope. Okay. Let me pull up the poll and I would love to hear your guys' responses to this. Okay. So how comfortable would you feel having an open conversation about money and Maher? Okay. Okay. 10 more seconds here. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and end the poll and see what you guys said. So 36% of you are a little nervous. What's important and you're willing to have the conversation. Another 25% feels really awkward and I'm not sure where to even start. But a larger chunk of you are actually pretty comfortable or super comfortable, which I'm really happy to hear. That's really good. I'm glad that we're starting to like break these barriers and these taboos about having conversations about money. That makes me really happy to hear, actually. Oh my God. I'm so thrilled. Okay. Let's see. Okay. So what are these numbers really telling us? What we need is better tools to facilitate communication about Maher and just money and marriage in general. As you guys can see, like every couple is different and the default doesn't fit everybody. What matters most is how you talk and not just what you ask for. Okay. So the hesitation around asking and talking about money is something I see all the time. I see it on my Ask Next Wednesday Q&As on my Instagram stories. I see it in my DMs on Instagram. I see it in my clients who have taken my Confident Investor program, and I'm seeing it in so many in-person community conversations. And the questions are some version of like, how do I talk about money? Because it's such a like awkward, comfortable conversation. And in my opinion, it starts with us. It starts with us here, the women who are choosing to talk openly about money, Maher, and marriage in our community. And what's great is when we take these conversations to our potential spouses, our wali's, our family members, and we take them confidently, compassionately, constructively, we're able to set the tone for better marriages, stronger partnerships, and happier lives. My assumption is, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think the majority of us want better marriages than we saw what our parents or maybe our aunties had or our grandparents had, right? I think a lot more women are less willing to settle than we did in the past. It's around everything, but it's also around money. And so if we want to start changing the narrative and we want happier marriages and happier families for ourselves, inshallah, we need to start having these conversations openly. This is part of why we had this conversation today. So we don't want to do any more silent guessing, no more resentments, no more unmet expectations, no more hurt feelings around money. And so we called this session today Inside the Maher Conversation for a reason, because what I want to do moving forward is build a space for everyone, no matter what season of life you're in. So whether you're currently in the pre-wedding stage and you're talking to potential matches, right? Or you're married and you want to share what you've learned with others, or if you're divorced and want to reflect on your experience, or kind of anywhere in between, your voice matters here, right? We need to start having these conversations openly, empathetically, because money is just too important to leave unspoken. And so this conversation today is part of a new series I'm building, and inshallah, you're here for the first one. But we are calling it the M word for now. The M word is all about the conversations we don't always have. So whether it's Maher, marriage, money, Muslim womanhood, but should, right? These are the taboo topics we sometimes avoid, but that deeply impact our lives. This is beginning to turn into the beginning of a podcast, inshallah. But as we're in the building phases of this, I have two questions for you. And I want you to help me shape what this conversation series looks like. So what I want to hear from you is, number one, what do you think of the name, the M word? And give me your honest opinion. If you're like, that is the worst name I've ever heard, Malak, you need to change it. Let me know, because Rachel and I are still talking, trying to finalize the name. So please let me know in the chat what you guys think of this name. Okay. People seem to love it so far. Would you consider M cubed? Ooh, M cubed is interesting, Rachel. That might not be a bad idea. I like it too. I love money and marriage with Malak more. Okay. I like M cubed. Ooh, okay. M cubed is a contender. Okay. The name is good, but maybe the title does not really give hints on what it's about. Okay, cool. Yes, the recording will be sent out, Heneen. Don't worry, inshallah. M word leaves things open. M cubed is fun. Okay, love the M word. Okay. Oh yeah, Rachel said M cubed is fun. Yeah. Let's see what else you guys say. M word. Okay. If you guys like the name or don't like it, that's fine. Let us know. M squared. Oh, okay. Interesting. M cubed or M squared? Which do we like more? Let's see. Excited for this. Oh my God, I'm so glad. Yes, this is the first of many conversations, inshallah. And these are, like you saw today, they're not meant to be like webinars. I'm not teaching you anything. We're just having conversations about these important topics. Yes, very excited. Okay, amazing. So what I want to know next is, what topics do you want to see us cover in future conversations? So I have some conversations, some suggestions up here in the post-its. So how to split up the financial and household responsibilities, how to talk to a potential spouse about all things money, saving, spending, and investing with your spouse, maybe Muslim divorce and making sense of the money side of things, or how to backtrack and talk about money when you're already married. These are just some suggestions. If the topic you want us to talk about is not on this list, please drop it in the chat. We really value your input, because obviously we want these conversations to be community shaped. Like, I'm not just going to pull something out of my ass and be like, yeah, we're going to talk about this. And when no one's interested in talking about it, let me know. Love podcasts. I totally listen to this. Amazing. This would be great to partner with our masjid and religious leaders. Yes, since this seems to be gender war. I know. I agree, girl. I agree. All of the above. LOL. What does equality mean in marriage? Ooh, everything and money in general. First three. How to backtrack to. Great meeting. Got to head out. Thank you for coming. What gift to give the groom and his side of the family? All of the above. How to weed out a stingy spouse? Oh my god, girl, yes. That's a really good one. I've seen women get so burned by this. They and their children pay the price. I'd be interested in them all. How to navigate finances when the woman makes more money. Okay. Where to draw the line, wanting to make it easy on your potential, going too far and giving up too much. Agree on how to identify a stingy, cheap person. How to spot a narcissist. Should we bring a therapist and be like, here's how to spot a narcissist? Actually, so many interests. Okay, cool. Okay, you guys want guest speakers. Okay, we can make that happen, inshallah. All the above in the slide, and childcare and financial obligations to in-laws. Oh, yes, I know in-laws cause a lot of problems. I know that. Okay. How to balance your financial rights versus children's versus husband's obligations to his parents. Okay, that's a really good topic as well. Okay, amazing. Thank you guys for all of the suggestions. How to not fall into debt. Okay, good to know. I feel everyone is nice during the courting phase. It's scary to think if they show their true colors later. Yes. Okay. Amazing. So keep dropping your suggestions. I just have a couple more slides for you guys. So we have what we're gonna do after this conversation today is I'm gonna be sending you the live recording and a digital download of the anonymous survey results, inshallah, and a list of questions you can ask your potential spouse and your wali about Maher. So how to begin having this conversation, inshallah, and obviously the recording of today's conversation. And what we're gonna do is I want to hear you guys talk. So I obviously you put some things in the chat, but I want to hear your voices. So what I'm gonna ask is if you want to speak, raise your Zoom hand, please, and we'll call on you in order. If you want to respond or add to the live convo, please use the chat. I have a kickoff question for you guys. Okay, what's something that surprised you about the data that we just shared? If you want to come up and speak about this live, inshallah. If anyone wants to unmute themselves, let me know. And I'd love to have a conversation. Please bring your kindness and compassion to the space, okay? We're not judging anyone here. We're not shaming. Every story and question is welcome. If anyone wants to speak up. Okay. JK, if you want to go ahead and talk and tell.
I was surprised by the gold thing because I
Okay.
have an Arab background and I just feel like Arabs are obsessed with gold. Or I don't know if it's a Palestinian thing, but I thought that there would be more gold given.
Yeah, I agree with you. I actually thought there would be more gold given too, because I know Arabs and I know a lot of Desi communities too are like obsessed with gold, but it's actually less than you would think it is. So maybe that's something we can ask about moving forward is like why you didn't get gold versus why you did get gold versus why you didn't ask for gold. I have people in my life who did ask for gold, like completely. And I have people in my life who did not ask for gold. So it really is very interesting. Thank you for sharing. Okay. Anyone else want to share? Sada, if you want to go ahead.
Going off the gold comment, I was also surprised because the gold is still very substantial. It doesn't depreciate in value. And in a climate today where we're all like looking and reflecting at our cultures and picking and choosing what works for us and leaving behind what didn't work for our moms and our aunties and our family before us. Yeah. I think we've walked thought that maybe asking for gold is no longer relevant, but it's actually a very relevant one. And even in the stock market, I was seeing that it's something that we can put stock in. So I think maybe asking for physical gold, or maybe we should still be asking for both physical gold and the contribution in the stock.
Yeah, that's a really great question. That's a really great point because I know some aunties who didn't ask for gold in the past and they just asked for cash. And then like obviously they did the whole deferred Maher thing and they like the value of the cash that they asked for initially is like nothing now, 20, 30 years later. So that's a really good point, Sada, about like we should emphasize having a portion of your Maher being gold for sure. Thank you for sharing that. Okay. Tria, if you want to go ahead and chime in.
Yeah, so I think I'm not sure if it's a thing of like later generations or something, but I feel like when talking to a lot of my peers, it seems I don't know if gold seems to be like obsolete in the eyes of some. Like obviously, like I'm Desi, so I can concur. Like we're also quite heavy on the gold, especially in our like aunties and mums and grandmothers' generation. But I think it is important to consider just as part of having like a diversified portfolio and just like having multiple things. Like cash in hand is obviously good, and like you said, to invest in the stock market, but it's just good to also have that gold as a tangible thing, even though you might not necessarily wear it or something. It's just something to have in your back pocket, which is why I was quite
Yeah.
surprised there wasn't like more for cash and gold. That was quite shocking for me personally.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, I agree 1,000%. Yeah, because when we did the poll about what do you guys think women received, like an overwhelming majority of you thought it was cash and gold, but cash and gold was only 4%. Like 75% was just cash, right? So to someone who asked about like the data with the gold, that's what we're referring to. But yeah, that's crazy. So I did a series on my Instagram. It was a series of reels. If you guys want to watch them, I can show you real quick if you're interested later at some point. But basically, my recommendation in general is to diversify your portfolio when it comes to Maher. Let me see if I can find it for you guys. There's so much content. Okay. Yes. What to do with your Maher part 1, part 2, and part 3. So I recommend like a portion of it you should get in cash, inshallah. So you can just enjoy having a nice boost of cash for whatever you need. And the other portion you should invest in the stock market, and the other portion you should invest in gold. And again, I really want to shout out this Maher calculator here about what your Maher would look like if it was in cash versus in gold versus in the stock market over time. So for people who missed me sharing this, I'm going to go ahead and drop it in the chat again, just so people are familiar with this resource. Abir, if you want to go ahead and chime in.
Hello, Assalamu alaikum again.
Walaikum
Thank you so
salam.
much for your session. So I have a question. It's not exactly related to Mahr. Of course, Mahr being very important when it comes to our contract, but just a suggestion or just asking what somebody in the comments earlier mentioned that they are going to have a business around drafting Islamic marriage contract. I guess if I'm correct, that's what they meant. So
Yeah.
is there any way we could get to know what are the important things for us as women to secure our security, not just financially, otherwise also? Like, for example,
Yeah.
some kind of data from the divorce lawyers, what are the major areas why people are getting divorced? So we kind of prep ourselves and try to put certain clauses in the nikah contract, because that's also something we're completely not knowing
Yes.
at all.
Yes. So this is where I want to shout out Nikah Masterclass again, because they have a full workshop on this. So they have a Nikah Fundamentals course where they talk about what things you need to include in your Maher, and not your Maher, in your Nikah contract. They also have a Nikah versus legal marriage workshop coming up, inshallah, how to vet a potential spouse, and they have an Islamic prenup for women lecture. So I would highly recommend this one, if anything. It is worth the price for sure. I took this a few years ago, and the amount of things I learned about like what my rights are and what I should include in the nikah contract is crazy. So I will drop the link to this in the chat in just a little bit, inshallah. But I would highly recommend everybody take this. So thank you for your input, Abir. That's a really good point. Okay, anyone else want to talk? Let me see if I can find you guys with another question. I'm curious to know, have you guys ever struggled to bring up money with a potential spouse? What made it hard and what helped? Really curious to know about this. So I can speak from my own experience. There was one guy that I talked to. I've shared the story on Instagram, and people called me a gold digger for it. But basically, I was having a conversation with somebody, and they casually mentioned, like, the conversation of money came up naturally, and they casually mentioned that they're comfortable taking a woman to, if he were to take a girl out, he would take her to Chipotle. And then he went on to say something along the lines of he also has a scarcity mindset. He doesn't really like to spend his money. This was someone who was very financially comfortable, mind you. He had a lot of investment properties. He had an engineering job. He had a business. So it was a little difficult to have a conversation and be like, you're very financially comfortable. Like, why are you like so hesitant to spend your money or not spend it at all? Like, why do you keep it so close to you? So that and then he also complained about wanting to pay for his sister when they go out to eat together. And I was like, it's giving stingy. It's giving not generous. So a lot of my conversations with men, actually, I haven't directly asked about money. A lot of the conversations I've weeded them out when they reveal themselves through stuff like that. So I'm curious about your guys' experiences with this, if anybody wants to talk.
I'm happy to share one.
Yes, feel free.
I know this is a big audience, but I am assuming it's a safe space. SubhanAllah.
Yes, inshallah.
Mistake where, and I don't know if this is the right mindset, but my mom told me, and people were like, you should never travel for a guy, especially the first time. And my thinking was, we saw him on the app, we were chatting a little bit, and we live like 2 hours away from each other. And I didn't travel for him. I was already seeing a friend in the area. My mind was like, oh, I'm already going to see. And I told him this, I'm already going to see a friend on my way home. If you want to just do a coffee thing and chat, let's do that.
Yeah.
But when we went for coffee, it was actually funny. We agreed on a time. I see him parked in the car and I see like a silhouette of a man. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm just like, it's just a random customer. I go into the cafe, don't see him there. I'm texting him like, hey, where are you? And I see him come out of that car that he was waiting in. And I was like, oh, okay. So we're in line. And I'm like, I go pay for my coffee first. He stays back in line. And mind you, this is a Muslim guy who grew up out of country. So I was like really surprised. Again, anyway, so he's like refusing to pay for the $5 coffee drink despite me meeting him.
as we were talking, he said a lot of things that sounded very red pilly. He's dumb. And he seemed like he had a big insecurity. I don't know. After that, he didn't even bother asking if I got home safe. But then the next day he asked me like, hey, what was that book you mentioned on something? And I was like, I ignored him. I was like, wow.
Yeah, as you should, girl. Absolutely not.
So anyway,
Not.
that was definitely a clear indication of cheapness. And he does well too. Like I think he has his own company, SubhanAllah. So
Yeah. Yeah. Dang. Thank you for sharing, Haneen, because I have had that experience as well, and it is the worst. But yes, I think it shows that sometimes people are nervous about having conversations about money in marriage. But I can tell you, I think a common experience with a lot of women is like the cheap guys reveal themselves pretty early, like from the words that they say or their action. So what's nice is you don't have to have the uncomfortable conversations with the stingy men if we become really good at filtering them out to begin with. What's nice is when you have conversations with like actual potential spouses who aren't stingy, then inshallah these conversations are actually easier to have because they don't have that mentality. Anyone else? Avir, you want to chime in?
Yeah, I just want to chime in again. I'm just curious to know. I'm also looking at some prospects and trying to talk to people and meet them up. So, in the case that one meets up a guy, and I just feel sometimes so uncomfortable when the time comes to pay the bill. I don't know, do I have to not act entitled and at least offer to pay, or should I just sit there and let him pay without even having the discussion? What do you think the right way should be
Yeah.
like for me? Because I don't even want somebody to think that I'm just, yeah, just whatever, pay just like that. But at the
Yeah.
same time, I also want to see what kind of generosity the person has. So I really don't know what to think about that.
Yeah. Who wants to chime in for Avir's question? You guys want to drop it in the chat? What do you guys think?
Never, ever pay for a guy during the first date. That's Matt.
Here's the thing. I feel like if you mention the bill out of hospitality in the beginning or just like out of respect, just, oh, should we get the bill? He should jump in and be like, I'll take that. You know what I mean? I feel like anything less than that would a yellow flag, if not a red flag right away.
I feel like if he's not even willing to pick the bill up for coffee or something low stakes, which is the first talk will be, like, is that a reflection of how he's going to be providing or not providing later in the marriage? Like, you can offer, but if I offer and the man doesn't immediately come in to say, no, I'll pay it, then I'm thinking, is this someone I really want to be around?
I feel like he
Yeah,
should be
that's
offended if you offer to pay.
Like, I also
no, I mean,
think that, sorry, like, he's the
yeah,
one that invited you out, right? Yeah. So he should know that he's supposed to pay. He should have like a confusion thing. Like, you shouldn't even like have to ask because he asked you out. You did not enter his DMs or anything like that. He approached you, said, let's go out. So, yeah, that's what I think. Yeah, I should have also
I
never ask out. Okay, never do that.
I also
yeah.
like, I also noticed culturally, like ethnically, like guys from back home, they are more willing to pay, even if it's not a romantic thing. Like I just went out with a group, we're volunteering for an aid event, and this guy who's married, he's no, I will pay. Like it's very normal, like the woman doesn't pay. And I was like, it was very eye opening. I was like, he's insisting, and it's not even for a romantic, it's like a general gesture of the woman should not pay. But then the other guy,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's the same thing in my culture as well. Like the men always pay. Like they feel like it's their role as a man, even if you're just friends.
I'm Arab but I was born and raised in the United States. And so my friends and I always got used to paying for each other without issue whatsoever. And my friends are from different ethnic backgrounds and different religion backgrounds. And so paying for each other is just completely out of generosity. But I've noticed that some of the guys that I've talked to, met with, and I've asked one of them, like, why is it difficult for you? Why is it difficult for you to pay for this? Because you invited me out here and I can pay for it. I have no problem with that. And I can sell you if you need the money. I have no problem with that because obviously you're not interested in me and I'm not interested in, we're not going to meet up again. But he said that I've been on so many dates and I feel like I'm wasting my time and I'm paying so much. So you guys should be paying too. What?
There's no way. There's no way. Stop.
These men want to be princesses.
that's-
These want princess treatment.
Yes, this is where we are today. is
Oh
we
my
are
God.
the level of, I think we have, like from both this men's side and the women's side, we have trauma that we've experienced, but we're not processing it correctly. So we're taking that on each other in the wrong ways.
Yes. Muna, you had a hand up if you want to chime in.
Hey, it's Sarah, ladies. Sorry, this goes back to the whole like first date discussion. Yeah, sorry, I put in the chat that like I act like my purse is lost. I don't have a purse. I have zero shame. It's the first date. What are you doing? But I think further down the line, I am willing to pay because if we're meeting each other for marriage, we want to take this further. Like I have seen guys online complain that like after when things don't work out, that like they've just lost, let's say like hundreds of pounds, which I understand. And in this economy, like it's not fair sometimes, and especially if you want to go to nice places. So excuse me, further down the line, I'm like, hey, like this one's on me, and I'm okay with that. But first date, no way, please. Do not even ask me. But oh, I've lost my train of thought. Okay, guys, you guys are gassing me up in the chat. I'm gonna stop because I've lost my train of thought.
I know you're an icon, Muna. We love it.
When I think you were mentioning like when would be appropriate for the woman to pay, like later down the relationship. I think that was
So I even think like third date is okay. Oh, okay. I remembered where my train of thought went. So once I was speaking to a guy who was currently unemployed. So I thought the right thing to do was I deliberately chose a place where you like pay for yourself. And I realized my biggest mistake was that I emasculated him by doing that. And I thought I was being nice because he's not employed right now. It's not in the place for me to be choosing somewhere bougie. And I could literally just see like his heart crumbling as I was paying for myself. So it made me realize like sometimes don't just go for things and assume things. Like he wanted to treat me, even though he wasn't working at that point in time. So yeah, it's all about just like not making assumptions.
That's a really great point, Muna. And see, again, like if someone is generous, they're going to be generous even if they don't have a lot. And if someone's stingy, they're going to be stingy even if they have a lot. So this is why like what we look for is less so about the man's income per se, but more so his generosity with his subhanAllah. Okay. Sriya, I think you want to head up and then Jane can use afterwards. Sriya, if you wanted to chime in.
Hi,
No,
sorry, I didn't
thanks.
realize I didn't unmute. Can you hear me
No,
now?
you're good. You're good. And then JK
yeah.
will go after you. Inshallah.
Yeah, so this is just more back to the portion of we were going discussing mentality and different mentalities. I had a classmate, so we like this was when I was at university, and then we were on placement, and then the weather was really bad that time, and we were going in the same direction. So we got like an Uber, and like at the end of it, I was like, "Oh, let me pay you back and something," and he was not having it. Like it was completely platonic. Like that's just a classmate. We didn't owe each other anything, and he was just not having it. And he was like, "It's an Arab thing. I'm not letting you pay at all. Women do not pay for things." So I think it's just which goes to show that there can be difference in mentality because I was born and brought up in the UK, so I would have been like happy to pay whatever, but he just wasn't having it. So it's just something to be mindful of, even not in the context of marriage. There are people who are like generous and have their principles about them. But yeah, it's just something to add.
Yeah, you're so right. Thank you so much for mentioning. Yes, find you a man like that. Find you a king like that, ladies. That's what we're looking for. JK, you had something that you wanted to mention.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about Sada's comment, which just made my jaw drop about, oh, I'm wasting money paying for these coffee dates or whatever. And I just feel like that is indicative of a spiritual disease because for me, if you're a generous person, you have an abundance mindset, even if you don't ultimately marry that person, it's still sadaqah. It's never a waste. For someone to be pinching pennies in that way, I don't know, it's cool. You dodged a bullet because if you're like so literal about, okay, I'm only going to spend money if this translates into marriage, that feels really transactional to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just icky. But I get, right, like it's a struggle. We all struggle with scarcity mindset, especially during troubling economic times and whatnot. But as a Muslim, if you have true iman, you know that any penny you spend on anyone is never lost. Like you will, if you don't see it here, you're going to see it in the next life. And another thing I wanted to say, I don't know if anybody watched Love is Blind, the Arab one.
Yeah.
You remember that scene, which I was just like horrified, where all the men got together and they were like, no, I can't remember, but it was basically like, we're only doing 50-50. Like we're not,
No, yeah.
we're not gonna be like the sole breadwinner. And I just was like stunned because it was an Arab show. And I feel like generally in Arab culture, there is this idea of the man being the provider, the qawwam, and just to see like all these Arab dudes just like on the same page about it has to be 50-50. I don't know. It was eye opening. And I'm just thinking maybe there's just like a huge cultural shift now with like feminism and everything.
Agree 1,000%. Yes, that scene really shocked me because I was like, even in the Arab world, this stuff has infiltrated. It was so sad. But yes, totally agree on the thought that like if he spends on you and it doesn't end up in marriage, it's still sadaqah. You can also like men need to view it as getting married is something that they seek, just like how you seek getting a job and you spend a lot of time applying for jobs. Sometimes you spend time like going to informational interviews or networking and you spend money there so you can get the job. You spend money to apply to universities. So if you didn't get into a university, but you paid money to apply to that university, is it still a loss? Like, no, like you were trying. So that's part of taking the means for a lot of men is that I think how they should view it. This is part of the means that you need to take to find your wife and nothing is lost. Every cup of coffee you bought for a sister brought clarity for both you and for her. It's just like part of the natural laws of life, I think, inshallah. Yes. Okay. I want to make sure to answer Fairuz's question because she's asked this a couple of times. So Fairuz's question is, do you think I should discuss Maher if my fiance is still studying and getting his degree? He isn't financially stable yet. I definitely feel like I got clarity today on Hans Esmahan, but any advice if it's too early to predict his financial situation? So if you ladies have thoughts, feel free to drop it in the chat, or if you want to speak up, feel free to do that if anyone wants to do that at the moment. So we can guide our sister Fairuz.
That's a really hard spot because I've talked to a guy before who is also a student and was in college and he was in college and we're struggling. But I think there's different ways to find out a person's mindset and their outlook on money. And if you guys are in alignment with that outlook or not, because if he starts telling you, oh, that's too expensive, I don't want that in my life or something like that, but you're able to have a nice car and you're able to go out and still do nice things. Basically, if he's going to bring you down, I don't know, maybe it's the mindset. I hope I'm providing some help. But there's different ways to find his perspective and outlook on money and spending it on you. But it didn't work out for me in college just because I was marrying for potential and I just needed action. I needed proof to see that we're going to be working towards something in the future for both of us. But hearing things like, oh, I have to save money. Sorry, I'm trailing right now, but I think you have to involve your parents if it's a point where you guys are he's not financially able to provide for you at that moment.
Yes.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Great
Thank you.
insight, Sada. Fairuz, you wanted to say something or?
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, it's a tough situation for sure. I am trying to figure out the mindset, and so far I haven't seen any red flags, but I'm just trying to be as understanding as I can on his finances because I know he's paying for his college and he's trying to pay rent with his dad. So it's just a hard situation to be in. I think time can only tell, and time's my only friend right now. It just feels really good to be in here and to just see everyone's like perspective on things. And a lot of the questions got me thinking now, which I think is good. It's good to keep stuff in the back of your mind. Yeah, that's all. Does everyone
Yeah.
else bid?
Inshallah, Fair, may Allah make things easy for you, inshallah.
Malak, can I chime
Yeah.
in for a moment?
Yes, please.
Yeah, in that previous question, I agree with the whole mindset situation as well. But I've also been advised and told that the Maher is also based on earning potential, just they do in the US court system. Like when they do settlements and divorce, they go based on earning potential. But I think from an Islamic perspective, looking at what if a person is in school and they have a limited earning potential at that point, but with the degree that they're graduating from or their job potential or their career path, that's something that needs to be addressed as well. And having conversations with your parents or your wali is going to be helpful for you as well in considering that. And with that consideration of the potential of earning, you could also have an agreement of maybe partial gets paid now and partial gets paid in so many years. That's something you have the opportunity to decide based on whatever you agree to. So I think those are things that you can take into consideration as well.
Yes, thank you. Yes, so I'm seeing a common theme with the answers, Pharaohs, about you definitely need to take his potential earnings into consideration, and maybe a portion of the mahar needs to be deferred until he does have the means, but it's definitely something to take into mind. So don't just look at his current situation, because his current situation is not reflective of your entire life, inshallah. They'll make things easy for you. We are going to have a guide that you guys are going to get on how to have the conversation about Maher. Haneen, I'll take your question, and this will be the last one, inshallah. So I want to be respectful of everybody's time.
I guess these were asked and answered. But I guess I'm still not super clear on it. And I think I'll just listen to the recording later, but I am curious what an appropriate mahar amount would be in the Bay Area. But if it's in the recording, then I can just listen to that later. I know you guys just mentioned the potential piece.
Yes, so we didn't talk about like specific regional areas, though that is something we're planning on, inshallah, including probably in the next reiteration of the survey. But what I know, you came in a little late. So this is like on average, we realized that 30% of a husband's annual income is the mahar amount. And this is, we removed the biggest outliers here. And then if we want to talk about the amount, we noticed that this is the percentages when it came to in general. So I don't have the geographic preference for you, but I would imagine, since the Bay Area is really has high cost of living, I would imagine the mahar probably falls in either the 10 to 25K, or if we're looking at the 25 to 50K, if we're going off of the 30% being of the husband's annual income. Yeah. Okay. With that being said, ladies, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up, just because I want to be respectful of everybody's time. Just a couple reminders before we end today. Sorry, trying to get through all of these slides. Okay. Okay, so just keep an eye on your inbox. We are going to have more M-word conversations, inshallah. Thank you for all the topic suggestions that you dropped in the chat. We're going to take a look at those. We're hoping to, again, revamp this survey and have it be a little bit more detailed, inshallah, and a little bit more scientifically accurate. You're going to get a recording of today's session. You're going to get the survey results, like a PDF of all the survey results that you might actually be able to bring up in a conversation with a potential spouse, actually, which would be really cool. And your link to download the conversation starter guides to have conversations about Maher. And also, if some of you have been following me on Instagram, we are in the process of updating my signature course, Confident Investor, and we're making it so much more comprehensive than it used to be in the past. It's going to cover money and marriage conversations. It's going to cover money management, budgeting, investing, obviously. It's going to be like your go-to financial course and community. So much good is coming up, inshallah. So stay connected. Thank you, everyone, for coming. I'm so glad that you guys were able to make it. Yes, inshallah, podcast is on the way. Maybe we can, I've actually been considering YouTube, because I was like, I like to consume content on YouTube, so maybe I should create YouTube content. Thank you, ladies, for being here. Again, shout out to Rachel for creating the slides and for putting all of this together in 3 weeks. This was just supposed to be a post on Instagram, and then she was like, absolutely not, girl. This needs to be a conversation. Shout out to Rachel, and thank you, ladies, for being here. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Do a talk show on YouTube, inshallah. You guys, hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, ladies, and I'll see you all soon, inshallah. All right, assalamu alaikum, everybody.